Good morning, family, and welcome to live streaming for the Ahiah Center for Spiritual Living. Coming to you live from beautiful downtown Pasadena, California, USA. I am Reverend Michael Bernard Lattimore, your assistant minister, your guide on the side, and my honor to host this service today. Our title this week is the Tao of Freedom. The month's theme is Unchained Spirituality, and of course we have a guest speaker today. Our moderators, Louise Mucho on Facebook, Mindy Morrison in the Zoom room, and Peter Bedard on YouTube. And make sure you get a chance to chat up your folks against love. We often have visitors dropping in from around the planet. Dish comes in sometimes from India, so we want to acknowledge one another and give each other the love in that room. And so, if you join with me now, we prepare to move into the meditation, just drawing in deep, centering and cleansing breath, moving in safe space.
I will surrender to my greatest, highest good. I will release any fear that blocks my way. For every step I take is taken in pure faith. I'm stronger every moment, every day. My mind is willing and my heart is open wide. I trust my instincts and let spirit be my guide. I vow to live a life that's real and pure and free, as I continue walking in this mystery. I surrender to my greatest, highest good. I release any fear that blocks my way. For every step I take is taken in pure faith. And I am grateful every moment, every day. There may be walls, there may roadblocks in my way, but I can choose to take a higher path each day. And now I know what I thought was safe and sound was only habit and regret that held me down. I will surrender to my greatest, highest good. I will release any fear that blocks my way. For every step I take is taken in pure faith, and I'm kinder every moment, every day. I'm more loving every moment, every day. I surrender every moment, every day.
Good morning, my Ahiah family. My name is Kelly METCALF. I am a licensed prayer practitioner here at the center. Please join me now in a prayer. There is one power, one presence, one eternal life-givingness, one infinite intelligence, one amazing presence that is always everywhere, all the time. It is eternal, so it always has been and it always will be. It is constantly expressing throughout all of its creation. That includes me. That includes each one listening. It includes every circumstance and event in our lives. So I claim that we each remember this truth, that spirit is love, means I am love. Spirit is peace, means I am peace. Spirit is infinite intelligence, means I am infinite intelligence. Spirit is joy, then I am joy. Spirit is beauty, then I am beauty. All these things that spirits I am. And it's true for me, it's true for each and every one. So I claim for each and all a greater understanding of this truth, a greater understanding that every single person we come in contact with, whether it's in person or on the phone or on a video, each and every one is the face of spirit. Each and every one is love looking right back at us. Whether they're terrified and they look like they're imposing to us or whether they are peaceful and loving. It's all the same presence. And so I claim that we have a greater ability to witness the love, to express the love of ourselves. Everything that we give out radiates out to others and returns to us multiplied. So I claim for each of us that we are wise stewards of our time and our energy and our presence, wise stewards of our word, of our thinking, so that we may be the best us we can be. Perfect just as we are, and perfect as we are becoming. So I bless this service. I bless Sharyn Scott and all who had anything to do bringing it together, knowing that we are blessed by it and a blessing by our presence, even though it's on a remote situation. We are all united as one human family. So I delight in knowing that this is the truth. And I delight in knowing that each one of us knows it in a great way this day. And with a happy heart, I release this, my word, to that law that acts on it and makes it so. And so it is. Amen. Now, so today's reading comes from the Science of Mind magazine for July 26th. Learning to trust. See, I am God. See, I lead all things to the end that I ordained for them, by the same wisdom and love that I made them with. How should anything be amiss? That's William of Norwich. And then from Ernest Holmes in the Science of Mind. Jesus bade us to complete trust in God for everything and in every instance. We had complete reliance on God. Dare we say that such a confidence will be misplaced? I often find watching squirrels at play. We have cats in our neighborhood, all of whom just love to hunt those juicy, saucy critters. Still, the squirrels play with total abandon, chasing each other through the grass and leaping outrageously from one impossible place to another. I'm always delighted with their carefree behavior in a world where avoiding the predatory nature of cat can make their lives bliss indeed. We sometimes become so focused on protecting ourselves and our belongings from possible dangers that we forget we can trust God to take care of us. Sometimes we lose the ability to play like those squirrels, carefree and joyful, just to be alive. We may spend more time looking over our shoulders for the neighborhood cat than we do engaging in loving action with the world. Trusting God is vital to our consciousness. If we can remember that we are the cherished expressions of the Most High God, perhaps we can also remember to trust that the universe is a friendly place. When situations threaten us, letting go and letting God take over is the smartest thing we can do. This isn't just a pious platitude. It is a definite spiritual principle that we can demonstrate time after time. Yes, trusting God sometimes seems like a leap of faith, but as the proverb says, when you leave, the net appears. So stop worrying about the neighborhood cat in whatever guise it may appear. Learn to trust in God and see how carefree your heart feels. And the affirmation, I joyfully lean into God and know that I am guided, protected, provisioned for every need. Blessings.
Good morning, Ahiah. This is Reverend Scott Olson, and unfortunately I have some sad news to give you today. Connie Amstone, who is pictured here, passed away on Sunday this last week. And we are all just very sad about that. I know that many, many people knew Connie and loved her. I know that you may not recognize the picture because her hair isn't purple here. And I personally loved her sense of humor. I loved her commitment to caring for people. I loved her commitment to this community and beyond. I know there are so many people who are surprised at her passing and also are grieving her passing. At Ahiah, we will be having some type of celebration of life ceremony. It will unfortunately have to be virtual. We will do a live stream, and you will all be invited. Take a look at the newsletter and other ways, other Sunday service announcements. So stay tuned, Ahiah family. I'm sorry to have to give you this news, and I know that we will all come closer together in support of each other as we process this.
What's up, everybody? It's Andrea Lane, and I'm so grateful to be back here at Ahiah Center. I'm with you virtually. We're together virtually, and I can really feel your presence. So I'm just so grateful to be here. Thanks for having me.
In my pain, there inside my weakness is the seed of something greater in me, and the shame of not choosing higher, and all the disappointing moment fade into God. No mistakes have been made in God. All the ways that we seem to fail in God of faith, it all fades into choice, a prisoner of anguish in a jail of I'm so lonely, a jail of all is lost, but the stars are shining to remind us a seed will need the darkness to chase, have been made in God. Oh, the ways that we seem to fail in God of faith, all fades into God. Yeah. The gravity that holds me together in God is the orbit in which I am spinning. I see the stars and I remember to remember inside my pain is the seed of my strength. In God is the gravity that holds me together. In God is the open in which I am spinning. I see the stars and I remember to remember inside my pain is the seed of my strength. God is my life. God is such excellence. Oh, the way that we seem to fail in God of faith. Oh, fades into God. No mistakes have been made in God. Oh, the way that we seem to fail in God of
Okay, so our talk today is called The Way of Freedom. And it's from the Tao, which is a book of 81 verses from the Tao Te Ching, which was written by Lao Tzu. And there's only 81 verses, and you would think, oh, that's no big deal, right? Well, these 81 verses are profound, mystical, mysterious, paradoxical. And I find the reading of the Tao very fascinating because it's rich in meaning. It's very deeply wise. It explains a lot about the ways of life and to be in the freedom. Because so much of where we miss out on freedom is by our own doing. And because we can help that, we're going to talk about that. So today we're going to talk about the metaphor of water. We're going to talk about ANDREA. We're going to talk about how to be with what is not wanted, how to be with difficulty. We're going to talk about a story or two. And my hope and my prayer is not to teach you something new, but to help you remember you already are. Because sometimes we forget ourselves that are always with us. And so I will start with a story. And it's from my grandfather's blessings, Dr. Rachel Naomi Redman. And she talks about an oyster. She said the oyster is soft and tender and vulnerable, and it cannot survive outside of the sanctuary of its own shell. And this oyster is to open, to breathe water. And as it opens to breathe, so it can live, some sand can get inside. And the sand that makes its way into the shell becomes a part of the oyster's life forever. It's just what is. But the oyster doesn't change itself. It doesn't become hard or leathery. It doesn't lock down in an unhappy experience and get stuck there. It stays soft and vulnerable and tender and responds to this painful experience. And it responds by turning these little layers of sand into thin, translucent, hardened, beautiful. Over time, this is what they become. And they say that it is a beautiful response to the oyster's suffering. And I wanted to start with that. Because so much of how we handle pain is locking down in the experience and reacting to suffering rather than responding to our suffering. And since we're creating our experiences, we had thought in metaphysical teachings that we create our own experience. And if this moment right now is creating the next few moments and the next few moments and the next few minutes, why would I want to create anything out of anger or upset? So the way of the Tao, the way of freedom in the Tao is really about being peaceful in whatever is here. To let go of attachment and to release expectations. Sometimes expectations can feel very judgy. And I think, I'll speak for myself, I like comfort. I like to be comfortable. I don't like to be sunburned or be swimming in too much water where I feel like I can't breathe, or have someone disturb me, insult me, or hurt my feelings. I don't like that. I'm not comfortable when I'm sick. I'm mad. What a waste of time. I could have been doing this or that or working. Maybe you're like me, where we're so comfortable finding what's wrong that I find it profoundly humbling to think of this little oyster that's just doing its life and creating pearls of wisdom that can only come through the process of moving through the upset, rather than getting stuck and locking yourself out of love because of it. Many years ago, I heard this saying at a church from a minister, and I think it's from a book, The Eye of the Storm, probably, where we are either the way of love or in the way of love. And this brings it home for me when I think an oyster is the way, and I'm in the way because I'm mad that I'm not comfortable. Because once we experience comfort, or joy, or any of the positive, beautiful feelings that we want to live, when we're out of that, who do we become? And how long do we stay? I've had some really difficult things happen in my life. I stayed longer than I probably wanted to in retrospect. But move through the challenges doesn't mean you deny them. It means you lean into them. And so it becomes a part of our learning experience. And we say all the time, God is only good, God is only love, God, but what about the hard stuff then? What is that? Well, I've come to understand for myself that the hard stuff is part of the good stuff. That if the sand didn't come into the shell, pearls would be discovered and created. And I know the same is true for me. I have never really grown exponentially through being blessed out in my life. It's through the tough. It's through the challenges. It's through the, I don't know what to do. Who am I? Where am I? What is this? And moving through the pain. Because pain needs somewhere to go. Pain in us will manifest itself. So the only way in the Tao of Freedom is to be with what is, and to try to stay out of judgment, expectation, entitlement, anger, blame. Because many times what is in our way is more of a question of who is in our way. We hold people in our anger and upset because somehow that's easier. Somehow it's easier to be angry at someone else than to do our work to heal. Well, my work as a chaplain, I'm with people in their suffering. Who just love no matter what comes, who love each other no matter what comes, who love themselves no matter what comes. And there's other people who lock down in fear and anger and don't know that there's somewhere to go. It needs to be healed. And it's coming up because something is wanting to be healed within. And God didn't do it. I see people turn away from God because they don't feel safe anymore in their illness. They don't feel safe anymore in the goodness and the grace of God. It's only when we're happy with what's going on that we feel blessed, right? Do we feel blessed? Do we sing, I am so blessed? When the phone call comes that brings us to our knees, or we turn on the news and just go to another level after another level of shock and awe, and not a good way. Accepting a new normal is terrible. Is God not there? I know for me that God is there. I know for me that God is very much present through the difficulty just as much as I am present in the difficulty when my children go through it. I don't leave them. I'm with them. God doesn't leave us. We leave God. And if you're not feeling the spiritual essence, who moved? Pretty sure you were in the way of love. Because God is the way of love. God is love. And it's very clear in the Tao Te Ching, many of the verses to deeply ponder allow us to think about how we do live through the opposites, and how maybe there's a way to transcend the opposites. I remember reading years ago in the experiment that we get in our own way by having our lists of likes and dislikes. I don't do that because of this, and this is not good, and that is not good, and finding our lists of is pleasing us is in our way, because we do not know. We're locked down in what we think we know. We don't know the gift and the pearls that are waiting to be born through us. We can't see those yet. We don't know they're there. And when we lock down in the fear and maybe create an addiction in the place of healing. That seems like an easier way. Addiction of hurts and not vulnerable or open. So what do? How do we heal? One of the most prevalent things that I see in the hospital are people against themselves. Somehow, somewhere, it's easier to accept less than for ourselves than to love ourselves enough to heal. And I don't think the oyster typically would let itself into creating this thing of incredible value and meaning. But that's what Taoism does. It takes us to nature. It takes us to the natural way. It takes us to the fluidity of life without us. Maybe we have such a sense of self-importance that we think we have to press everything into being. And all we do is get in our own way. So to love ourselves more or differently. It says in the Course in Miracles, the only most effective prayer is help me see this differently. So my prayer today is to ask God to help us see ourselves differently, because we are not broken. We are not needing fixing. We are not anything less than children of God. And love and power and grace and joy and healing and value is within us. So what do we need to do? We need to, A, stay open and soft. Make a commitment today to love yourself so much that you will never close your heart. And you will be willing to learn and to grow, to become more of who you are by richness of pearls, of wisdom, of growth, of consciousness, expanding and growing and loving. Your world needs now is love. It's the only thing there's just too little of. And I'm not going to say in the world, I'm going to say in us, because it's inside out, not outside in. This is not going to come from an outside source. It's only going to come from doing the work within. And we're no strangers to work within. That's what I love about us. We take classes, we show up, we research, we do books, we do all kinds of ways of learning, workshops, and it's just so wonderful to learn. But the Tao is about the natural way. Let me speak a little bit more about that. It's about less is more. It's about, well, let me read you a few of the lines that I really like. I took the first 4 verses and one line out of each to share with you. This is what it's like if you're not familiar with the Tao. Here's from the first verse, number 1. The nameless is the beginning of heaven and earth. The nameless. That means that God is more than the name we call it. That we are more than the names that we're called. If you can name it, you just limited it. Wow. From 2, I took 2 lines here. Under heaven, all can see beauty as beauty only because there is ugliness All can know good as good only, because there is evil. So we learn from opposites. There's something about that. And I think so many times I talk to people and they just choose to be happy, negative, and miserable and complaining because they're afraid if they're not, other than that, if they choose to be happy, then the other shoe is going to drop. And then they're just going to be miserable again. So why not just instantly miserable? I get it. I'm not judging it. Maybe there's another way. Maybe there's another Tao to freedom, because that doesn't sound free to me. 3. If nothing is done, then all will be well. 4. The Tao is an empty vessel. It is used, but not filled. Deep. Really deep and profound. William Paul Jones has a quote that I really like. He talks about the way to wholeness is when the way, Tao, the way of our being, matches the truth of our being. And for so many of us, we can be so out of alignment with the truth of our being. I know sometimes I can speak it even if I'm not feeling it. That's scary. I'm feeling it now, Ahiah, don't worry. I'm here with you. And I love you so much. Did I say that already? But when I think about the oyster, the way of the oyster, the Tao of the oyster, and the Tao of us, I think, wow, we're so quick to close down when pain comes. We're so quick to not be vulnerable. Vulnerable is not comfortable. We don't go there. And it's so important to come out of hiding, because we all have spaces where we're not okay. And we all have spaces that when we are transparent with those, with other people, that gives them freedom somehow to be able to share things they haven't been able to say to anyone. And the world does need love, sweet love. But it happens when we give ourselves love first. I often think about this saying where you can't love anyone else unless you love yourself. I challenge that a little bit. Because what I found in my own experience is that I have people in my life that know how to love fiercely. But where they get stuck is in receiving it. So, the pearls of wisdom that are waiting to be translucently created through each of us are powerful and beautiful, and to stay open is the first step. Try to move to the center of opposites, where if I know I really, really like something and I'll charge it up. There's a middle point that is healthy for me and really charged up and angry or frustrated or mad or in fear, to move towards the middle way, to not push, to empty, so the path can be heard. Because when I'm in my stuff, God's voice becomes too small to hear. And when I meditate and when I contemplate some of the verses of the Tao or some of the most amazing new writings, Dr. Ernest Holmes right on the top of the list, and I get still, I get quiet, and I let go, and nature for me is the way to let it go. So freedom comes in when I sit outside and I have hummingbirds on me and tree squirrels eating and butterflies fluttering and plants and flowers. It is such a happy place for me that no matter what I'm feeling, I'm free. That is the way for me. And we each get to find our own way to freedom. I feel free and in the joy of listening. I know sometimes that it's really important to not ask God for what we need, to not give him a list as if he were like Donald Walsh says, the cosmic granter of wishes. Sometimes they'll come, sometimes they won't. It's not about that. It's about listening for the way. Because God's path is revealed to us, through us, for us, with us. We're the missing piece. We're the one in the way. If you're looking for it outside, it's like losing your keys in the house and looking for them outside. Find them inside where they went missing. So the way to do that is through being open, finding ways to neutralize the highs and lows of life, and then trusting that as you are letting go without force, like water just moves, be in the fluidity, to be like water, and just have fill the spaces with fluidity and movement, that whatever is stuck is wreaking havoc on your sanctuary, your physical sanctuary. So, and I have this image that is helpful for me of sitting like a floating candle above the water. That is my symbol for get out of your opinion, get out of your judgment about it, or get out of what's right, because what's right for me is to be in a peaceful state within me, so I can be of service to myself and others, so I can catch the pearls as they're did. And I'm not saying ignore the things in the world that need our attention. I'm not saying that so much of how we evolve is by standing up for what's right. But I can do that bigger and bolder and stronger when I'm okay inside. Because if I go outside, try to help somebody, to heal myself, it doesn't work like that for me. So, and to us to keep trusting the ocean floor, like the oysters trusting the ocean floor, and just taking in the experiences as what it is. It is what it is, and it has an opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to give meaning and purpose to us in our life. So maybe God is only good, and maybe good only comes from everything, even the unthinkable. Because what we don't get to see in our pain is how freedom is calling us through, leaning into it and being with it and doing the healing work. So my prayer for us this day is to stay open to something new and wonderful, open to forgiveness, open to movement, open to water, open to your wisdom, and get out of your own judgments of who you say you are and who you say you are not, because you will not find it in the no. You will only find it in the yes. So the way of your being, matching the truth of your being, is heaven on earth, and you are the way to your own freedom. Ahiah. I almost said Ohio. Love you, Ahiah. Many, many blessings to you until we can see each other in person. I love you. Stay well. Be happy. Okay, so please turn within and pray. So we close our eyes and we open our hearts. And we feel and we know that God is all there is. That God is the freedom and the joy and the love and the peace and the way of all that is. And I am this too. And then I grow myself to know the big that is. And no longer stay small anywhere. And I know that is true for us here, that we are so much more than we could ever know. And that God loves to remind us to look, really see all that we are instead of all that we are not. And how beautiful it is to open the path, the enlightenment, wisdom, from which to move forward into greater and greater life every moment of every day. And so we simply move out of the way and into the way of spiritual gifts and spiritual light and spiritual freedom and expansiveness. By doing nothing, and by emptying, we are filled. And so we empty this day of any thought of less than, of full whole. And we drop any ideas of untruth that keep us lift to the gift self. Wonderful it is that meaning and flowing fix life and all good things that feel bad. I know that they're necessary. Life somehow they wouldn't be happening. Trust the unfolding. Trust the flow. Trust the learning. So how blessed are we to know that prayer is this journey, connection and depth within us. So I give thanks for Ahiah. I give thanks for Reverend Scott. I give thanks for all the love that is not in the building only, but in the community. To each one of you who look so forward to being in community again. So grateful for technology that can happen this way for now. And so I let this fear go, knowing that it comes back to delight and surprise us in mystical and magical ways, filled with meaning and purpose. And I say, thank you, God. And I let go. And so it is.
Now is the time for our conscious contribution. If you're looking to find out how to give to Ahiah, you can see 3 ways on our screen here. One is to go to our website at www.ahiah.com/donate, and you can put in your credit card information or information. Either way works. Another is to text to give. Text the amount you want to give to 616-229-2225. And I'll ask you for your credit card information. And a third option is to send us a check to our address at 150 North Molino Avenue, Pasadena, California, 91101. However your just contribution comes in, we truly, truly appreciate it. And I just want to recognize that at Ahiah, we gratefully receive all that you, whether it is your time, your talent, or your treasure, knowing that it supports all that we do, both the Sunday service here, but also all the activities that we do throughout the week. I am that activity that we do raises and lifts people up and brings community love to many, many people. And so if you just virtually take your gift into your heart and read me, this gift I give is God and I send it forth with joy, confidence, and I am blessed by the law of giving and as I now share my gift with life. Pressed down, shake, and running over. And so it is, and amen.
Hey, this song is called Beautiful Person. It's the first song I ever wrote to sing in spiritual centers. I mean, before I was a crazy rock and roller. And then I came into spiritual centers, and this was the first song that I wrote. Thank you for listening. Put your virtual hands together. If you can, stand up off the couch, or you can clap on the couch. I see the beauty in you. I see beauty in me. Oh, yeah. I see compassion in you, compassion in me. Oh, yeah. See the God in you, I see God in me. Oh, yeah. See, yesterday I ran into my neighbor, and I said, "You're such a beautiful person. You're such a beautiful soul." And I said, you're such a beautiful person. You're such a beautiful soul. You're such a beautiful person, and I know we are free. I know we are free, and we are walking so magnificently. I know we are free, and we are walking so magnificently. Yeah. Life is a why it's mine. And you're such a, tell somebody, put it in the text, such a beautiful, you're a beautiful person, and I know we are free. Tell someone they're beautiful today. I know you are so beautiful. I know you are so beautiful. I know you are beautiful. And I know we are free. I know we are free.
So join me in a couple of short announcements. I would like to let you know about our annual meeting that will be virtual in August. I want to invite each and every one of you to come to our annual meeting on August 23rd. This year we'll be doing a virtual meeting because our originally scheduled meeting back in March we weren't able to have because of the virus. So at this meeting we'll be doing what we're planning to do before. We have nominations for board members that are being presented by the nominations committee. Those two people are Myrna Hawthorne and Deborah Glick. And we'll also be talking about the finances for the church, and we'll be going over our past year and our future year, what our plans are. So we would love to have everyone there. We need to have enough members there to get a quorum. So if you're a member, we especially want you there. But everybody is welcome, and we will be having fun in our Zoom room. You can find the connection to the room at ahiah.com/virtual. So please join me in benediction. You can read along with me. Something wonderful is happening to me right now. A thing called life. Life is in my mind, is in my body, and life is in all my affairs. I accept it, I am it, and share it. Just the way it appears, and just the way it appears not. Thank you, life. Amen and amen. And also, we'll be in the Zoom room for the fellowship right after the service is finished. Please join. You can go to ahiah.com/ to get the Zoom link. Hope to see you there. Bye-bye for now.